Nnamdi. Professor Nnamdi Onuoroguna, because Obu Oberive, because it's a big masquerade. There is a citation on him. And who else is even more qualified to cite this guy in this unique presentation than our oracle? The Dean of Arts, the Professor of Music Composition, na one year with theory, na one year with conducting performance, the professor that can digitalize something. Even while we were trying to eat, he was in another conference in another place, in a different world. Professor. Yes, sir. Are you going to introduce him?
Let me try.
It's not a trying to know if you're not going to. If you're not going to.
Let me try. See, I can introduce.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together as we welcome Professor Alvan Ikoku Nwamara.
Good evening, everybody. The president of our NIM, the vice president, members of the EXCO of our NIM, the chairman of BOT, Professor Dan Sisiago, the former president of our NIM, Professor Adedeji, all professors here, Reverend Professor Adedeji, fresh from somewhere. All the other professors here, our military brothers that are here, all participants. Mine is just to talk about the lecturer, the lead paper presenter today. I don't have any written introduction to make. It is just to tell you that Professor Nnamdi Onuoroguna, let me start by telling you that he had his secondary education at the prestigious Dennis Memorial Grammar School, Onitsha. Went to University of Nigeria, had his first degree in music, had his master's in music, had his PhD in music education. He works in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka, came in as assistant lecturer, rose all the way to professor of music education. He is the immediate past secretary of our NIM, presently an ex-officio. He is a performer, a singer, a clarinetist. Professor Nnamdi Onuoroguna, what have I not said about him? What else am I supposed to say that I've not said? He is a knight of the church. He is married with children. Today, he is presenting on music in a digital economy over this. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, Ayaka Professor Nnamdi Chinedu Onuoroguna.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to stand on already established protocols. I want to thank the incumbent president of our dear association and name, Professor Christian Onyeji, who happens to be my classmate in UNN. I want to thank my teachers who are here, who taught me at various levels. Professor Dan Agu, Professor Onyiwampa. I want to, in a special way, recognize Professor Josephine Mokwe. She's a big mommy. I also want to recognize all ANIM members and my classmate who is here, Dr. Felicia Ezugu. Thank you very much. I want to thank in a special way the chairman of the LOC for always sending me reminders. And I am happy that today has come to be. So when I see my colleagues, from my head of department to my students who are now big people, PhD holders, my colleagues, my friends, my fellow animals, I am not afraid because I know that I'm standing on a solid ground. So thank you very much. I will be talking on music in a digital economy. Quo vadis? It's a Latin word which says which way to go. Whither thou goest. And that is what we shall be looking at today. We are, slide 1, please. Can I have music number 1 from what I sent to you? Music. Thank you. You can pause now. That was Victor Waifu of blessed memory. We were together like this when Uniben hosted us a few years back. I decided to play and start with this music because when you talk about digital, it means that there was analog. And if you don't understand the analog, you cannot understand the digital. The key word in this discourse is digital. Digital has to do with technology that generates, stores, and processes data. In this case, the computer comes to mind. We have to be mindful of the ever-increasing acceptance of computer in education, the business world, the political arena, and the society in general. It is an undeniable fact that our society is a computer generation. If anyone remains illiterate, computer-wise, he or she will likely encounter many difficulties or will at least be hampered by an ability to take advantage of the vast potential benefits of a digital society. By way of definition, computer can be defined as a device for processing, storing, and displaying information. Computer once meant a person who did computations, but now the term almost universally refers to automated electronic machinery. Can we go to slide? Okay, now, by my last count, there are 25 professors of music of Nigerian descent in the Nigerian Music Academia. There is also an improvement in gender balance. Notable lady professors of music in Nigeria include Professor Mokunye, who is here, Professor Ibekwe, who is here, Professor Young Suk, that was honored a few minutes ago, Professor Layade Okbola, who is our vice president. These are the ones I have seen here. I don't want to mention those who are not here. So the challenge before us now is how to make the best of music in a supposedly digital economy with the slide in Naira. The failure of bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, in the last general elections, where they couldn't upload results. Inaccurate census figures. The question ought to be asked, how digital is Nigeria? Are we prepared for the digital challenge? So let us now look at music in the Nigerian Music Academia and see how we have fared digitally. Can we go to slide 3, please? Go to the next one. Now, Gabriel Marcel was a French philosopher who lived between 1889 and 1973. He expressed concerns over the notions of technology and human conditions in his philosophy of the broken world. The ultimate aim was to determine the elements in science and technology that predisposes the human towards negativity in the use of technologies and scientific knowledge. Marcel's postulations about the false notions of truth, which somehow habitually structures man to apply scientific knowledge destructively, forms the crux of this paper. Now, let us see how we have applied digital tools to music study. First of all, the use of the Microsoft Word. That's the most common task of music in a digital economy. Can be found in the use of MS Word. How many scholars in our name today came with their papers typed themselves? Because tomorrow, if I am privileged to chair a session, I'll be hard on any person who blames any typist for wrong syntax and grammar. If you have the knowledge of MS Word, it will minimize errors in syntax and spellings. How has the digital age helped a name in bookkeeping tasks? How many members do we have? How many registered for this conference online? When I was doing my research, I discovered that 133 members attended the last conference in Unizik. How many have registered for this? We need to know that if we are truly digitalizing. Today in Nigeria, traveling is a risk. Insecurity is the order of the day. It is only by the grace of God that we are not consumed. Many conference participants have been kidnapped in the past. Nigeria Medical Association, Nigeria Bar Association, and so on. But musicians never die. So we defy all odds to travel to Ibadan. Research clusters. How many research clusters do we have? Despite the use of digital tools, research interests have narrowed down and there are greater probabilities of what I term regional research syndrome. People in the West do not read what those in the East do. Those in the East do not care of what happens in the North. It is not down to tribalism, but laziness on the part of researchers. By tomorrow, when we begin to look at our papers and references, we shall discover that most scholars from the East may not even cite a scholar from the West. So we must discourage that because the digital tools are there for us even to make our researchers easier, or researches easier. Laziness has crept into the academia with the name of digitalization. Most scholars spend time on WhatsApp, Let's Chat, video calls, TikToks, and so on. If you go to the ANIM socials, creating that socials platform was in a bid to save some serious-minded scholars from all junks that go into unrelated matters. Academics must not be bugged by that. Next slide. We want to look at composition and notation in a digital economy. The first point to understand about computer composition is that it is not a style, but a technique. In principle, any kind of music, from traditional to completely novel, can be written with the aid of the computer. For the composer, however, the main appeal consists of not duplicating known styles of music, but rather in seeking new modes of musical expressions that are uniquely the result of interactions between man and the computer. My good friend Wamar had elsewhere observed, the benefits of the computer do not end with the ability to play back the composer's work. They extend to easy, faster, and cleaner scoring and arranging. The techniques of digital technology permit the indexing of music if we put it to good use. Next slide. Record keeping. We can have data of students and staff be fed into the computer and stored for easy references when required. How many departments, if we use digital tools adequately, we should be able to know how many students we have at the Department of Music, University of Ibadan, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Ife, how many staff, how many teaching, how many non-teaching academic staff. Information can easily be retrieved. Even among students, we can have sequence of class attendance easily be monitored from a database. Prototype of result sheets fed into the computer also facilitates delivery of examination results. Was there an online registration portal for this ANIM conference? These are rhetorical questions, as is done in places that hold sway in digital technology. Information can easily be gleaned. The digital situation in the academia must be akin to the scenario in the present banking industry, where a customer can make a withdrawal from any point of service terminal. ANIM is doing well, but we must strive to improve the present situation. This man charging phone, don't disrupt my presentation. Okay, we go to another area, classroom presentation. Please go to the next slide. Okay, be there. Digital learning has also been made easier with the use of PowerPoint and email services. A teacher handling history of music, both Western and African, can easily play back musical examples of different genres through a media player. The teaching of virtually every course in music has been enhanced through audio and visual aid made easier by digital applications. The question is, have we adopted positively to computer applications in a digital age? How digital are you? Please ask your neighbor, how digital are you? Thank you. The famous music scholar and social anthropologist, John Blacking, published a book in 1973 titled, How Musical is Man? And that is why we asked the rhetorical question. The next one, we now have to look at the dangers of over-reliance on digital tools. The dangers of reliance on digital tools. There is what we call undecidable proportions. There are undecidable proportions whose truth cannot be determined within a given set of rules because computer deals with figures. Mathematical method can exist to identify such propositions. Computer asked to obtain the truth of such proposition will, unless forcibly interrupted, continue indefinitely, a condition known as halting problem. When Professor Wampa was trying to introduce me, he made use of certain languages that if you don't know the background, you cannot decipher it. Such, and if I look at Professor Onyeji, for instance, having known him for over 3 decades, I can say, are you okay? These are variables that cannot be decided by the computer. Human minds are skilled at recognizing special patterns, easily distinguished among human faces. For instance, computers process information sequentially rather than grasping details overall at a glance. The next slide. We have to look at virus invasion. A virus code has been designed to furtively, a virus is a code that has been designed to furtively copy itself into other codes or computer files. Viruses are usually created by a prankster or vandal to effect a no utilitarian result or to destroy data and program code. So you have to know there are over 50,000 known viruses. If you are digital, you should know how to counter it. If not, it can destroy your phone, it can destroy your central processing unit, and you have to learn the use of antiviruses. You have to know Norton, Panda, AVG, and the rest of them. Now we look at what we call hacking. A hacker is someone who accesses other people's digital tools with the aid of communication technology and without permission. Today we are talking about cyber crimes. Down in the East, we refer to them as Yahoo boys. They stay in one place, use a beautiful lady's photograph, create an email address or Facebook page and try to take an undue advantage of people. Then, but there are also kidnappers use it. Digital tools also make us vulnerable. Once they capture you, they look at your apps and know whether you are worth over 100 million like their named president, and and you are in trouble. They will keep you there until. So you have to know things like two-step verification and how to secure your card, the codes to block your online banking when you are in danger. So these things are good, but they also give us out. Then we move on. Before we talk about music and address it as it affects digitalization in Nigeria, ANIM must pursue aggressive digital education, not paying lip services to digital schemes. Courses must be taken in computer applications in a digital economy. Curriculum must be reviewed to embrace digital tools. Issues bordering on security must be handled by the government for music to thrive in a digital economy. We earlier talked on security. I'm not so surprised that the hall is a bit scanty. It takes courage for one to travel now on Nigerian roads. Power outages we experienced when the keynote address was on, and all of a sudden, power went out for almost 20 minutes. I'm still lucky. I hope they won't strike before I finish. A researcher must be visible in a digital economy. How are you visible? How many of us here? Dr. Abiodun, I hope you are on Google Scholar. Okay. So you have to be on Google Scholar, you have to be on Scopus, your citations must be online. Then there's something that we call altmetrics. You look at societal impacts and attention that your paper generates. As we are in an ANIM conference, have we had a press conference? Does the Oyo State government know that we are here? These are issues we have to look at for us to be relevant in a digital economy. Then we talk about networking and media coverage. Elsewhere, Professor Dedeji wrote about what he called large area network, local area network, and wide area network. If you are researching on IFA music, for instance, somebody else doing a similar research must also know what you are doing. If we don't do that, then we shall be moving in circles instead of moving forward. Next slide. Now, recommendations. To curb the destructive tendencies in the use of digital technology. I'm now going back to the theory of Marcel, the French philosopher. We must profile a balance between science and humanism. Humanism is the real face of music. Once science loses its humanistic outlook, there is a tendency that its products would create more problems. We must avoid the tendencies to be lethargic in creativity due to digitalization. There is now a dearth of master musicians and scaled-based creations. Now, can you play the second musical example I gave you. It is a blend of Victor Laya's Sisi Jowo. It was a remix between him and Two-Face Idibia. You can see the development of music from the analog to the digital and a blend. That's the remix. The first one was gone.
Sun in your eyes, stars in your eyes, color something rainbow in your eyes. Baby, it's perfect, take it up on trampoline. Take it up on me, for you come make mercy, man. I promise to put this here. Go my love, my baby make me bello. Cause me and you, we together, and you will be my amadosha.
Okay. The audio wasn't so clear, but you can see the marriage, the symbiosis of the analog and the digital. So what we are saying is that from the warning of Gabriel Marcel, we must be conscious of the fact that while we are living in a digital economy, we should be mindful of humanism in music. Most students today graduate without entering the library. Even when they have e-books, and most books have been downloaded online, they don't use it. They have given us various social handles that we don't use, even those of us in the academia. We must be careful. The life of an academic must be the life of a hermit. You don't engage yourself in idle fancies with the use of digital tools. There is what we call now predictable texts. If you're typing, artificial intelligence, it does a lot. The VC told us today about how a car drove for 6 hours without a driver. If you're typing, and once your computer knows the name of Professor Wamara. Before you type WN, he gives you the answer. So I was on my way back from work one day. Google told me that you are 45 minutes away from your house. So these digital tools are also there as spies on you. But we must be prepared. If you are not prepared to counter the effects of artificial intelligence may overpower man. Wars go on at various points. In fact, the greatest tool in warfare today is propaganda. You win the war first through the social media before you even enter the battlefield. So I'm going to end with a popular poem. It says, "The sun that bids us rest is waking our brethren 'neath the western sky." That is drawing an analogy that what happens if we see the sunrise here today, then it is also setting somewhere. And hour by hour, fresh leaves are making the wondrous work of God heard on high. Can I have the... The sun that bids us rest is waking our brethren 'neath the western sky, and hour by hour fresh leaves are making thy wondrous doings heard on high. Ladies and gentlemen, so the summary of what we have said this evening is that we must endeavor to draw a distinction between humanism and the use of digitalization. Let us use digital tools. Let us use digital tools to our advantage rather than to our disadvantages. And you can see that today we have a dearth of master musicians. People like Shino Peters, Victor Waifo, Oliver De Coke, and the rest of them, Norris Aguze Lonia, who were analog, but they took time to master their instruments. Today, you just go into the studio and have sound chips, and in fact, the music that we have in the market today can be described as penny dreadful. But there's a lot. I'm not condemning digitalization, but we must use it to our own advantage. And if you are here for this conference and you come without a PowerPoint presentation, then you have already started failing. So I encourage ANIM through our president to ensure that even when we go for accreditations, we must make sure that some of these tools are in our departments for lectures, not only stage managed things when we come for university accreditations. It should be a permanent thing. And we should encourage. In fact, I belong to a platform that I do not contribute in anymore, because all they say there is about election petition tribunal. And personally, I have lost hope in the Nigerian state because, like we said, in countries that are digitally prepared, by the time you finish elections, the results are there, and everybody will be happy. That is why we have coup in the West African sub-region, because people are not happy, people are not satisfied. So we must ensure that in the music academia, in the music discipline, that we use digital tools to advantage. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can do a lot better than that. I do not think that it is as a result of digitization, or you call it digitalization, that made many of us not to know that the C in Nnamdi Onuorogun's name has to be pronounced, has to be known. And it is Chiedu. I hope I'm correct, sir. You know, I always remain loyal. I'm very fair. So, the distinguished members of ANIM, Professor Onuorogun has added another angle to our levels of stimulation today. When the keynote speaker was talking, he went from the scientific angle, trying to implant some of those things that we must have read or done when we studied physics in relation to sound molecules, and all those things, sound waves. But the professor of music has led us into the actual humanistic aspect of music and our engagement in this area as musicians and as musicologists. His paper, Music in a Digital Economy, Quo Vadis, or is it? Did you? What did there? Huh? Quo Vadis, or Wadis. Any future, is it something that any prospect? Our lecturer led us through many angles and played some of those analog pieces that we used to have before, beginning with our Victor Wyfer's popular Jeremy. I was almost going to dance because I remember too that a few years back at the University of Benin, he was there himself, live and direct, and performed with us, and we were all excited. And that was in the instance of Professor Josephine Mokunye's inaugural lecture. It now led us into defining a computer as a device for doing many things, including storage of data. And then he asked question, how digital is Nigeria? How digital is us? Or are us? Is it is us or are us? And then he tried to anchor his theoretical framework on a philosophical basis by quoting Gabriel Marcel. He talked about the application of digital tools to our music studies. He talked about our research clusters. And of course, what he called the regional research syndromes. He talked about the composition and notation, our own compositions and our notations. Those of us who go to field work we notate music. Those of us who are composers compose music. Is it not true? And then the utilization of those devices to help us and in providing clear and well-aligned symbols, musical symbols. We talked about record keeping. Record keeping, for instance, what we're doing now, there is a recording here. If it is properly documented, properly stored, you come back next year, you get the information that we have postulated here. We talked about the classroom presentation, whereby as teachers, you make musical presentations, and how the digital applications can help us in enhancing our knowledge. Because in the process, you will have the opportunity of putting into slides or even providing the audio perception of some of those works that were written like 500 years ago and so on. You just hear them now. We talked about the dangers of over-reliance on digital tools and what he will consider as undecipherable propositions. We talked about the virus invasions on our data, on our files, and of course, you know, if you give the people this side, you also give the people the other side. Like our former Governor Wike will talk. You know, the antivirus that will help to do those things. That means that there should be some level of proactive thinking. You know, I talked about hacking, you know, whereby people will access other people's works, even without their permission, and do all kinds of things. If you check on your devices, you see how many times have people hacked on our WhatsApps and so on our accounts, and so on. And then he said, in spite of all this, for us to move forward, he talked about aggressive digital education for music to thrive in our digital economy. He also advised us that we as researchers must try to be visible. Our curriculum must be reviewed from time to time to give it relevance, so that we'll be in line with the developments and the best practices that are happening all over the world. And then he ended by giving us some recommendations which will curb our destructive tendencies and over-reliance on the so-called digital devices. We must avoid the tendency of being lethargic in creativity due to the provision of these devices. Sometimes, especially our composers, we just, just because the devices are there, you know, as we were talking about, if you are typing something, the computer will help you to complete it. Sometimes it is wrong. Sometimes it is right. You know, but if you do not have a good knowledge, a standard, you keep garbaging in the wrong things, simply because computer has, you know. So, as if a computer no be man where made the computer. Yeah. So, our over-dependence on digital devices will really kill creativity. So, he's advising us not to over-depend on that. If you over-depend on that, it will also kill our originality in creativity. Because music strives on originality. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out, you know. And then he talks about the relationship between our art and humanity. It's a humanistic profession which has the element of cultural idioms to create all manner of things, including identity. And then he also told us to draw boundaries and ended up by saying that digitalization must be used to humanity's advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to appreciate our lead paper presenter again by... Thank you very much. You know, in a thing like this, when it comes to music, nobody gets tired. But we're going to provide maybe three opportunities to comment and three opportunities or four to ask questions. If you want comment, we'll just give you 1 minute for comment. Any comments or question? Yes, sir. What's your name? Yes, sir. Yes. Come. Keep coming. Come here. Use the microphone. First of all, you introduce yourself, give us your name, the institutional affiliation, and your comment or question.
Okay, my name is Venerable Dr. Sopluchuku Ume Ojaka from Nandazikiwe University, Oka. I have a question. My question is whether digitalization in the context of this paper is the same thing as online learning. Then if you answer me, I can go further a little.
Okay, you want him to answer that. Nna, Ajuju Abiola.
Yes. Online learning cannot exist without digitalization. So it is part of a digital process.
Number two.
Okay, why I asked the question is that I'm taking this course on music of other world cultures. And for me to be grounded in that course, I'm thinking as a person that I needed to visit some countries of the world, like India, name them, to to study their music so that I can be grounded. But with online learning, I've been able to access their music and how they perform. But if I'm writing an article on this, for example, in this conference, I'm writing an article on that music of other world cultures. But most times, some of you professors will ask me, where's my evidence? Have you visited, have you gone to India? Have you gone to this to gather your information? So how authentic will be my report after doing my study online? That is my question.
Well, I know that you will expect people to question and interrogate your evidence and, But our lecturer is here.
Yes, very good question. Remember we talked about specials, and there are things the computer cannot do. And remember that computer is garbage in, garbage out. You may be misled. It's a probability. It's not everything you see on the internet that is real. So, so when you read, you think twice, and don't take whatever you read as an authority. But when you read from authorities, you know you are reading from authorities. So that's, yes.
Yes, sir, my president.
Because he's a lecturer and we wouldn't want him to mislead our students and the younger generation after him. You can't base your writing or research for that matter only on secondary sources. It's weak ab initio. You must have primary data, and that means having evidence, pure evidence. Assuming you go online and download whatever you are picking from there, and they end up being lies to the native, to the culture owners, to those who practice these things, what would you do? So you can only support primary evidence with secondary sources. And what you're doing now is just secondary sources, reading about what you find online. Thanks.
Thank you. For instance, if you talk about North Americans and the way that they dance, with their costume and feathers and so on. that online this will not be able to show you all those. You need to get involved with those people. You know, you need to visit there. Yes, there's another hand at the back. Then after that, Reverend, and we need women also. We need to balance this. 1 minute, sir.
Okay, sir. I am Adesioye Adeleke Oludari from Federal Polytechnic Ilaro. I have various questions for Prof. One, you talked about digital writing in this economy by your presentation. Music in a digital economy, Quo Vadis. And I want to ask this question, sir. What about writing of softwares for African music? You know, we are being restricted with 5 lines and 4 spaces. And sometimes the Udu drum, when we want to translate it, we have limitation. The talking drum also, we have limitation. So, and we have people that write softwares that can be included to Microsoft. So, can we add that to it, sir? Writing of programs, especially for music, for African music, that we notate our own music properly, not being restricted. That is one. 2, sir. Just 2 questions. Okay, let me look at federal and state schools. The limitation of budgets, approvals. We don't have interactive board and materials requested to teach in the digital world. I'll give an example. During our accreditation in March, what was required by NBT is just a tape recorder. And I told my HOD that at this present world, recorder is obsolete. So we tried to get an audio interface, which is the latest sound card, 3rd generation, Focusrite, if I'm right. And when NBTE came, they snapped that sound card to put it in their curriculum because we can't be using tape recorder. So, sir, all the prof in the house, you are the policy makers. So how can you help our generation to grow digitally in terms of curriculum development? Thank you.
Yeah, your answer is very, very easy. You know, because our lecturer talked about review of your curriculum. And in the process, you can also review the tools that you use in your teaching. And that's also one of the reasons why you are here, to learn other devices and tools that you can use in prosecuting your teaching in the school. Sir.
Thank you for your questions. I would like you to realize that some of the policy makers themselves are not digital. That is why, yes, that is why I asked people to ask their neighbors, how digital are you? So when they say tape recorder, tell them that they are obsolete. Tell them the modern trends, so they can even employ you and pay you to help them. I had to visit the National Education Research Development Institute with the late Professor Aluede during our tenure. Sorry, Professor Damoibo, I'm sorry. Aluede is my friend, so I'm always I'm always referring to him. Yes. So we went there. We saw stacks of books that they should have digitalized their office as well. So in the first place, know that digital tools are not indigenous to us. African music exists principally in oral tradition. So some of these scoring devices like Sibelius, Finale, the rest of them, some of them are still being developed. So and they are not indigenous to our culture. So it's a work in progress. So don't rely 100% on it. And some people have also, one of the problems we have is problem of standardization in African music. But I know that people like Making Zewi and the rest of them have also made efforts in trying to, all we need to do now is to go more into music engineering and impute some of these things into some of this software. Develop our own so that we shall be relevant in an ever-changing world.
Thank you. Go ahead, develop your own. Before you, is that a question? I'm in charge. Sir, come. Women, get ready. Otherwise, I will just pick anybody. After you, the president will talk, and that will end with the men. I will now face the women.
Thank you, sir. There's a question I want to ask, but the first one is a comment on one of the questions that was raised by the participant who asked a question here. I remember the very first time I flown in an aeroplane. Before then, I have tried to read a lot of books on how it feels when you drive, or when you fly in an aeroplane. I noticed that all the things that I read could not compare with the experience the very first day that I had the privilege of flying in the plane. That means that as a researcher, like Prof said, we should not just depend on secondary sources alone, but we should have an experience, go to the field research, and then use to teach. Now my question, sir. When you were delivering your paper, I was very, very excited when you said something about accreditation. And you just, music in a digital economy, the way forward. That was what you said, Quo Vadis means. Sir, I want to ask you, with your experience and exposure, you've been involved in series of accreditation, maybe either going to the school or receiving panels who came to accredit your program. What will you be able to advise on the way forward? Because one thing that shocked me that you said was that we package things together so that people will just, and after the team leaves, the thing, they will unpack. So what is the way forward? What do we do so that when you come and you see the things, and when you leave, the things are still there, and we use it to teach our students? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It is a problem with the Nigerian state. I first of all started with the beavers that couldn't upload election results. So you see that the Nigerian state in itself is not digitally ready. We are not digitally ready. But we can create what I call digital oases. Because I was doing a PowerPoint presentation, we must create an oasis. Is a place where you find shrubs in the desert. We must start with our name and get it right. Now, by the time we start plenary sessions tomorrow, I don't expect any person who comes to a conference with a team, music in a digital economy, not to apply digital tools. It means we have come unprepared. Some people have come because they want to present papers and gain points for promotion. Good. Beyond that, we want to be relevant to ourselves. The president of our name is here. Sometimes when we hold ESCO meetings online, some people are not able to log in. Yes. So going forward, any person who is not digital enough shouldn't aspire to hold any office in our name. Yes, I'm being honest. Yes, some people perennially, and they will blame it on network. And yes, and you cannot say that there was network because network fails in Nigeria. Some people don't even have phones that have facilities for digital that you can use as digital tools. So what I expect is, by the time you go back after our plenary sessions and communique, carry the message to your institutions. There are certain things your lectures should be done on PowerPoint. Give your students research, on e-books and e-library. Let them turn in their term papers and works typed by themselves. Then, most importantly, our vice chancellors, I was very happy, not because I'm at Ibadan. The VC talked a lot about artificial intelligence today when we paid a courtesy call on him. And he said he was sitting near the driver and how the driver even retrieved his car from his son using the digital tools, because the son went to a destination where he was not asked to go. A simple command was given and the car stopped from somewhere. So what we see during accreditations is that envelopes are given to people who come from, whether it is brown or white, no, but not the type that the Senate president gave to senators. What we are saying that when you go for accreditation, insist on standards. And most of these things are only provided during accreditations. Immediately, once they hear accreditation is coming, every person will start working. It ought not to be so. So, institutions should bid to host conferences like this. Professor Mokunye is here. When we hosted our name in 2006, that time we were very young fellows in the university. It was a makeshift toilet and bathroom that we constructed, but it was the way we were at that time. And the ANIM you are seeing today is a very big development from what we had 15 years ago. So it is work in progress. So when you now go back, insist on standards. In fact, you must make effort to be digitally relevant. We went for ICT training together. Some people who went for that training with packed their laptops somewhere. And today, they still brought out their laptops. It's still new. I don't want to mention names, but perhaps everyone know what I'm talking about. So when we went to the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, he was my lecturer. It was, we went to typists to type our term papers. And by the time you come back and Achinivu will cancel it, you go and type again. So you use, what do you call it? Tipex and cyclostylene papers. So you have to improve. If not, the world will leave you behind. There must be conscious effort for you. And for the young man from Ilori, I would like to see you after this session. Ilaro, whatever. I is there. Yes. What I'm saying is that don't dwell. Don't wait for the institution or the government to do everything for you. Try to improve on your own and pace with the digital trends so that you will be ahead. Because it's possible that you are in an enclave where people are not digitally aware. And before you know what is happening, if you come out to a modern society, the first time I went to London, I was convinced within myself that I was a bushman. Nobody told me I knew. But I was just using my IQ to, to maneuver my way, to know the point where I was supposed to board. And by the time I traveled the second time, I was already used to. So you apply knowledge and be dynamic in approach.
Thank you very much. Before the president of ANIM comes, I need to also add that as part of the process of accreditation, the panels will insist that there are inscriptions on the items of equipment belonging to that particular institution. Because, previous to that, we noticed that institutions will go borrow from outside, even outside the university, and package the thing. You will think that, hey, this institution has this. At the end, they will just, we will unpack, like somebody said. So right now, we'll go there, we'll say, if anyone, any instrument or any equipment that doesn't have the inscription of the department and of the university, we'll say, write it there. So from there, you will know whether it is that equipment belongs to the university or not. But we need to do more. We need to do more and encourage them. President, sir.
Thank you. I have concerns about visibility and anonymity. And your presentation promoted visibility for musicians, for scholars, for all of us in 21st century digital world. But the concern is that the visibility comes with great challenge. I don't know how many times I receive phone calls from criminals because my data is online. How many times they try to attack what we call cyber or online digital attacks that come with visibility. Yet, visibility is what we must pursue. And the pursuit of the visibility either kills a musician or saves a musician. The same way, prior to this point, and even now, anonymity also protects the musician. But at the same time has a challenge on the musician, both teaching and artists. Is either you are secluded, but preserve your space and your works, in the sense that your works are not put out there and people are not stealing your works. These days, they create all manner of websites and, predating and predator websites where they take anything. Some of my works, sometimes I see them, on very strange, remote areas of life where they are using them as soundtracks and all manner of things, and nobody talks to you. Sometimes they even cut and paste some of those things. Nothing. So, in the days of anonymity of composers, of musicians, we were able to have ownership control of our output, of ourselves. Even digital times like we are now also implicate some level of anonymity because you are not there. It's a virtual version of you that will always be present. Considering the challenges, the benefits of both sides, what would you recommend, in terms of the teacher, the musician, the artist, the scholar, and so on? How do we handle this crazy situation?
Thank you very much. The question was answered in the paper. We talked about being digitally dynamic. For example, my SIM card is locked. My SIM card is locked. Except you hold me hostage, you can't gain access into my SIM. There are so many ways you can. Some of us don't know about storing in the cloud. Some of us don't know about two-step verification. Professor Wampa was recently hacked. We had to remove him from the Guild of Professors platform until he recovered his. The other day, Lady Ngozi Okonkwo was begging me for 10,000. When I saw the language, I knew it wasn't her. So, but beyond that, so later she sent me a message that her phone was hacked. I should disregard any message coming from it. So now, therein lies the challenge. It is like the symbiosis of the cattle and the cattle egret. The government must play their own role. Because in some of these countries where digitalization holds sway, if you do cybercrime, they will pick you. You've traveled far and wide. In fact, one day I was in Houston. I saw on my laptop, updates are available. Do you want to update? Immediately I clicked yes. My computer crashed. Because most of the softwares we use in Nigeria are pirated, cracked. So the following day, when I asked my host, I don't know, I opened my laptop, I couldn't see anything. He asked me, did you click on anything? I said yes. So he said that every software you buy in civilized country is patented. From the person who made it, anyone they sell, the serial number is blocked. They make money from it. But once you go to the open market in Onisha, you go and buy Finale. Once they buy one, just like they go and buy one Arsenal or Man U jersey, then they will duplicate it. The same design, the same everything, but not the same material. So a lot of things go on here. So the government must help us to secure the society. If security is assured, more people will be here. So, but we have a problem of legitimacy, whether we like it or not. And we are trying to go to Niger. Yes. When you have not validated yourself. When somebody who was our president, you ask him to bring his O level, he cannot bring it. And he will bring 15 senior advocates of Nigeria. They will tell you that you don't need those things to be president of any country. So the government must play their own role. Then, those of us, that's why I called it creating of digital oases. You must now strive. There was one you told me last night. I was excited. He said that a tool now for scoring in the cloud. What did you call it? TerraBox. So every day these things come up, and if you are not dynamic, the world will leave you behind. So you need to go on courses. Interact with people who know more than you. Sometimes I'm not, there's one app I have in my phone. It was my son that helped me to install it and taught me how to use it. Some of these children now are more, yes, that is what they met. So because they're always on it. So you have to be ready. It's unfortunate that we're talking about visibility. It gives you out. You have no place to hide. You have no place to hide in a digital world. And that is perhaps what the Bible was talking about as 666. Anywhere you are, you can be picked up by a helicopter. If you say your location, GPS will come and a helicopter will pick you. So these are some of the dangers we have in a digital economy. But those who created it also created it for our own good. But unfortunately, cybercrime is on the increase in our society, but we must strive. And sometimes too, learn how to switch off your phone. Because if we start relating it to life expectancy, it also helps to increase your BP. And yes, sometimes you want to sleep, switch off, sleep. When you wake up, you continue.
Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, I can see two. Oh, Prof, you wanted to say something first. Yes. Wait. Professor Ibekwe. Oh, okay. Don't worry. You'll be taken. You'll be taken. Two of you will be. I'm glad that, 3 women are on.
Okay. Thank you, Professor NC Onorogono, for your nice presentation. I want to throw this question back to you, where you said quo varis, or whatever, which way. You have enumerated both the good and bad of digitization. It has come to stay. Digitization has come to stay. There's no two ways about that. But you gave us two samples of people in the yesteryears and the mix of the present and the old generation musicians. So I am asking now, those of us that are musicians, what is our fate with the present situation of digital digitalization that we are in now? Because like in my area, traditional music, I am in the area of traditional music. And in the performance of traditional music, there are so many things that are too peculiar to traditional music. There are some demeanors and the nuances, some characteristics that are embedded in traditional music that when you put them or you digitalize them, it will no more be the same. Do we just forgo all those good features of traditional music to protect the digitization, or do we just, I don't know which way, how do we cope with the two scenarios?
Yeah, the lecture answered that question because we talked about humanism. African music exists principally in oral tradition, which is our tradition. We don't have to jettison it. What you have to do is to, if you talk in terms of recording, record a performance of Africa. We're not saying you don't throw away anything, and that is what gives us our identity. You don't throw away anything. What we have to do is, how can we, I'm sure if I click on, what do you call it? If I click on my phone now, I can see Atilogu music recorded. It is enough. It is enough. So we are not saying that you should, and we talked about when we talked about Gabriel Marcel's theory about the dangers of over-reliance on digital. We talked about the broken world. We don't want the world to break. So we use digital tools to enhance what we have in our society, and that is it. Yes, please.
Lady, come out. Ewo.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, lady, come.
Thank you, Prof, for your paper. You see, I have come to a conclusion that there are deficiencies in the management of the digital innovation. despite its socio-economical impacts in Nigeria. Recently, I think just last week, I got a paper from outside the country, and I was to just assess the paper, not even to download, because you need to assess the paper first before you do the downloading. So I got to the site as instructed. I had filled that form almost to the end, just for me to have the two options of save and submit. And then the network went off. I missed it. And I couldn't gain access again because you can only gain access once. So I had to send a message to those people there. They now sent another message to me, instructing me on what to do. So the Nigerian factor is there, and it's so disheartening. And it's threatening even our interest in this digital thing. How do we manage it?
Well, just briefly because of power. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Please, mine is not a question like that, but it's a question not to the presenter, but to all of us, officials, all of us here. If we can try and get recommendations from all our articles and have an abstract of that recommendation. Everyone is saying the government, the government. Which government are we talking about? The ones that owes us 8 months' salary, is it? Then, what I'm trying to say there, let us find a way of settling this within ourselves, not government. The thing is keeping me off. Every time I go to a conference, what did we gain and what did we learn? Let us find solutions, and we don't have any government. In short, we don't have. Let us settle our solutions, sir. Not government, we do the government. We are wasting our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mine is a little support to your beautiful presentation, which was also, when he also gave us the summary, it solidified your lecture. So that was fantastic. I just want, you are very lucky people. Your generation is much luckier than the generation that is going out, because you have these facilities and opportunities to do this. Please do not hesitate. I'll just give you only 1, 2, or 3 of my experiences. Professor Atinuke talked about a form. An international organization invited me to be, they said they saw some of my writings. They want me to be a member of their editorial board. I started filling the form. I filled line 1, line 2. Before I could get to the end, network over. And they said they select before they contact you. And before they call you again, that will be some time, because many people are waiting. They beg you, please fill this form quickly. I lost that. That is one of the points you're talking about. Secondly, in those days, I recorded with Decca West Africa, boys and girls. I'm one of those who did one record and ran away, because I didn't get, I don't know how much I got, but very little or nothing. And I decided I will not waste nights of studio work. And then you get nothing from it. Before it was released by the company, it was sold at Gota, Lagos. You know Gota, where they call Gota, a part of Balogun where they sell things on the floor. They put the records and sold it for cheaper than the company sold it. So I left it. But do you know today, then once somebody called me from the US. He said, we want to do something with this music. We want your permission, The first 3 times I refused. The 4th time, somebody came from the US, brought me about 10 pages of forms I should please fill, so that he wants to put it on whatever. True to what he said, if you go to YouTube, Google Joe Mox or Boys and Girls, you will find it there. How much did I get? $100. $100. And whatever is coming to that recording now on YouTube doesn't come to me. But if I knew better, you are in a position now to know better and do better than I did. Okay, you see that Victor Waifo's song that you sang. Of course, I haven't been to Benin. You know that I was working with him too. You see that Joromi? Listen to the female voice. That's my voice. But what do I get from it? I just hear it. Sometimes when you are sitting by me, I'll say, that's my voice. That's all I get, and I'm happy about it. But you can do better. You can do better. When I was in Ghana, I did my PhD with the International Center for African Music and Dance. There was one secretary. One secretary. That's one office staff. The other staff was a cleaner and part-time cleaner. It was a separate player, this Ghanaian musical instrument. So when I finished writing, I would say, hey, I want to type. Secretary, please type. Professor Nketia, who was my supervisor, called me and said, Joe, we cannot do this. Go to the library and learn how to type. Huh? I said, I don't know how to type. There was a computer in the library. Everybody could access it and type. But I was forced to, because you had to submit a paper every week. And to go to, you can't type it in the office. If you go outside, it's so expensive. So I had to take his advice. I went into the library. I confronted this computer, which I could not use. I now went to buy, you know, this the old manual typewriter. That's how I started, because you have to start with 1 finger, 2 fingers, and so on. Then I went to the library, and I perfected it. I typed my PhD thesis. And so can you. Everybody sitting here, nobody should expect you to write, and then you go and look for another person to type. Because actually, when you're typing yourself, you are doing your editing by yourself. When other people type for you, you come back with a lot of mistakes, and you have to start all over again, going through, and then you go back to them, they type again, another charge. So please, I am urging you to listen to him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to end with Professor Atinuke Bobola. Do the ones you can do. I cannot affect the Nigerian Airways. And every day they are digging pipes, spoiling express road. I don't know, everything. The only thing that I have to tell us is in our own little offices, departments, places of work, try to put round pegs in round holes. Don't put people because they are your brothers or because they are your kinsmen. Select those who can do the job. Ironically, Nigeria is blessed. If you go to Europe, the best medical doctors are Nigerians, the best musicians. Davido was performed in the last World Cup. The best surgeons, the best lawyers. But when they come here, they cannot function. My immediate younger sister works as a nurse in the UK. She told me she can't practice here again. I said, why? She said that when she was in Lagos, that she once gave a patient a full dose of chloroquine injection, that the doctor queried her, that she should have given half dose so that when the malaria parasites multiplies in geometrical proportion, the patient will come again. No, I'm telling you an honest truth. So I'm going to end with John Blacking. How musical is man? How digital are we? Let us create musical oases in your own. At least I've installed solar in my house, so I don't depend on NEPA again. Until such a time that we can say that we have a government, we are living at God's mercy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's put our hands together for our lead paper presenter. Yep. Let me use this opportunity to thank everybody for being very, very active, listening and contributing. Thank you very much as I hand over to our president. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please, can we put a our hands together for the chairman also. Finally, before I invite the chair of the LOC to make some announcements, those that stay till the end, according to the Bible, will be blessed. So we are giving the blessing of Anim to all of us that stay to the end, and to say thank you for being the worthy sons and daughters of God who are here. Thank you for being with us at this wonderful celebration, which we call opening ceremony. We had all the good performances and all those things that were presented. Thank you so much. Thank you, the LOC chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a few notices from us and to all of us. Registration will continue tomorrow from 8 a.m. at the Department of Music. Plenary session is going to hold at Department of Music from tomorrow. And we are going to start at 9 a.m. Please, all panel chairs should endeavor to be there on time. The room will go live from 8:30 to test your digital equipment like we have just had. So we don't need to share papers of 14, 16 pages. All right, so just come with your PowerPoint, please. If you don't have that, that's not a crime. So if you need to test your materials or so, our student volunteers will be there to assist you. All right, so we start. The first breakout session will be 9 a.m. Please go through your program to look at to check where you'll be presenting. And then the facility is well labeled so you can locate your classroom and spaces, other spaces. Where panel chairs don't arrive 5 minutes, senior colleague can start up so that we don't waste time. Once there's no panel chair, 5 minutes, please start up so that we can keep to time. And we have encouraged panel chairs to keep to time. Each panel has 2 hours, and that's sufficient for the conversation. Conference tags contain your ID and your meal ticket. So from tomorrow, we'll start using meal ticket because we'll be getting our lunch. But I think we have more than enough, so we may not need meal tickets. But bring it along. Because we are looking at music in a digital economy, we are not doing book of abstracts. 1, because we have to walk the talk. 2, there's no money to print big, bulky books. So e-abstract has been sent, e-book of abstract has been sent, but we'll resend it again to members. And then the program, if you have a scanner, if you go to the department, you can scan the program just on the wall. You get the program downloaded. So there'll be concert tomorrow at 5:30. Please, let's prepare. Keynote and lead paper presentations will be sent to the platform and members' email. We have their consent to send that. And finally, we are celebrating 2 leaders today. My HOD and our Anim president, today is their birthday. I like to call Dr. Ogusoya. Let's stand up as we celebrate Dr. Ogusoya and Professor Onyeji. Shall we sing? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless. You are not singing harmony. Bless you. May the good Lord bless you, we pray. Happy birthday to you. We wish them louder, long life and prosperity. Hip, hip, hip. Hip, hip, hip. Hip, hip, hip. Let me invite, as we close, Professor Adedeji to pray for the celebrant and close us. Professor Adedeji, please. Professor Adedeji, please. Closing prayer for the celebrant, and we'll close. He's here. Professor Adedeji is here. Professor Adedeji, please.
Okay, please, let's do it this way. It's a special birthday celebration. And I know by the time I tell you what to do, most of us will envy them. Can we just point our hands, stretch our hands towards them, start blessing them, start speaking to their lives, that they will live long, that God will prosper them, that they will live in good health. Let's start to bless them, speak to their lives. Father, we commit your children to your hand, that you bless them, give them good health, give them long life, prosper them, make everything easy for them. Be with their families, O Lord. Give them happiness. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Our Father and our God, we want to bless you for all the blessings we receive from you today. We thank you on behalf of these two children of yours. We thank you for sparing their lives and making them to see another year. Father, as we have blessed them, let the blessings be permanent. It shall be well with you. You will continue to live well, and you will finish stronger in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, as we close with your mercy. We close with your favor. We close with your blessings. And all the remaining programs, Lord, shall be a blessing unto us. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name we are prayed. Thank you.
If you have issues getting, not that we are providing accommodation, but if you need a place to, please, you can see my brother here. In my office. Go to the cake.
Let's get cake. Go to the hotel.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No, that's not the problem. Prof.